Hey guys, Ben here and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about Superman Lois Season 4, aka the final season. Today we're going to be talking about what to expect in the final season. So if you do go on to enjoy the video, please be sure to leave a like and a comment and subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any future DCTV videos later this year. So this video is going to be in the style of videos I used to do before each season would start. Obviously we got Superman and Lois hopefully coming out in the summer, with them starting to go back to filming around January. So this video is going to be all about what to expect in the upcoming season, talking about the characters, talking about what they're going to do with the ending of the show, like how are they going to wrap things up, plus what I would like to see, and I want to hear what you guys want to see down in the comments below. So let's go ahead and jump into today's video. Okay, so I believe the season 4 is going to open up with either a jump forward in time, so that means skipping Doomsday and Superman fighting on the moon, just like the end of the season 3 finale left us with, or we're going to be finishing off that fight scene and it's going to start kind of mid-action with them fighting on the moon once again. But it all depends on the budget and how they actually want to take this season forward, because I think it's way more likely that they're probably going to throw away Doomsday and not dwell on him too much, only because of those budget constraints. I believe when they went into season 3's finale, heading into season 4, I believe Todd Helbing had all the intent of actually going ahead with it and like making it a big deal for the first couple of episodes. We could have even got the death of Superman, and that's not to say that it's not going to happen, because it still can. But we have 10 episodes in this new season, which is also the final season, so that means we have a limited amount of time with our characters, and especially Superman and Lois. So I don't think that's the way that they probably want to kind of kick off the new season, by killing Superman, by having him out for multiple episodes. I don't think that is just the way to go about doing your final season. So I think with Doomsday, sadly, it's probably going to be cut short and they won't dwell on Doomsday, and there's probably either going to be a jump forward or we're going to finish the fight and somehow Doomsday will be defeated quite easily compared to what maybe we hoped for and what we expected. That's just my interpretation of what I can kind of take from, you know, the current circumstances and the way that season 3 ended. So let me know, what do you think about this down in the comments below. So obviously, and these are just the obvious things right now, there's going to be less characters in the season, so there is naturally going to be more focus on the main Kent family and also what Lex is going to be doing in this season, because he is supposedly the main big bad of this season. So with the less characters, that means there's going to be more time with Jordan, Jonathan, Lois and Clark, and I think those characters are going to show up a bit, but I don't know at what point those characters are all going to show up. Are they going to show up at the same time? Is it going to be early in the season? Is it going to be towards the end? How are they going to wrap it up? Are they going to leave some of those storylines actually hanging, or are they going to tie up all of them? Obviously, as fans of the show, we want to see everything tied up. I would say, for instance, Sam, we know that his wife in real life actually said that he might not be coming back. That would be such a big shame if we don't see what happened to him, that being General Lane, and if it was just like mentioned in the show. I think that would be such a throwaway, because we know what happened behind the scenes. And so the last time we saw General Lane, he was kidnapped by Lex Luthor and his sort of cronies. So it would be great to tie up all those storylines if we're not going to see some of these characters very much this season, which as far as we know, we're probably not going to. And so with all the other budget cuts, there's going to be less CGI, which makes a lot of sense, and probably pairing along with that, there's probably going to be less action. I think the action is going to be as good as it was before, because it's the same people supposedly working on the show, and I think the CGI is going to be good, but they're going to have much more limited resources, so I think they're going to kind of cut it back and just have it for the very important scenes and make it look as good as possible. But that means you're going to have more time with the characters, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. And I think Superman and Lois isn't the most action orientated show, so I don't think we're going to see like a huge difference. I just think we could go a couple of episodes without fight scenes, and then you get one amazing fight scene and you'll be like, oh yeah, I remember this. So I feel like this is very possible, and I'm probably expecting this for the new season. But let's talk about some of the characters and what we could be expecting them to actually do in this season. I believe Jordan is going to be a big deal. Obviously, we've been working up towards him becoming Superboy. Most recently, with General Lane giving him a costume, he was actually exposed to the public. So that's going to be a big deal in the season. And I believe at some point we're going to properly see a Superboy suit on Jordan in this season. And I am really looking forward to that, because I've been kind of hoping for this since the very first episodes, you know, when we had that kind of conversation. Is it Jonathan? Is it Jordan? And obviously the show revealed to us that it was Jordan that had superpowers, and so he's been developing his skills, his powers, since he got them back in season 1, and now at season 4, it's the final season. We got 10 episodes. Surely they're going to go big with Superboy, especially when there's going to be less characters around, so they can put a lot of emphasis onto that side of Jordan's story. In regards to Jordan's other side of the story, don't think Sarah's going to be that involved. I reckon she'll show up in like 2 or 3 episodes in the 10 episodes, so that's just going to be every once in a while. And I think the main focus is going to be on him with the family, but also him as Superboy, because that's a major story for him. Jonathan is a little bit less interesting, and I think he's just going to be less involved with the firefighting. As far as we know, we're going to stay in Smallville for at least a good chunk of this season, so I reckon some of that stuff is not going to be thrown away, but it's probably going to be done off screen, and he's just going to come back. He's going to be, you know, in a suit, and that is probably what's mainly going to happen. There's not many like hanging storylines. Like, I don't think Candace is probably going to show up in this season. Like, there's not much point. But in regards to him potentially getting powers, that's a theory that's gone around for a long time, of course, because he is half Kryptonian after all. But I don't feel like it is the right choice to make. Like, it could happen because it just kind of makes sense, because he is half alien. But at the same time, the whole point of his character since the reveal that Jordan had powers was basically he just has to learn to live with it, and I think he has learned to live with it, and he's at a good point with what he was doing at the end of season 3, and so I don't feel like there is a need to give him powers, and so I hope they actually don't go ahead with that. Okay, so with Lois, there's definitely going to be more focus on her with Lex. I think the budget cuts actually suit Lois more than any of these other characters, only because Lex is heavily involved with Lois specifically. Obviously he's involved with Superman as well, but the main target for Lex is actually Lois, and that's the reason he created Doomsday to go after Superman. So definitely a lot of focus this season is going to be on Lois and Lex, and Lois actually trying to lock up Lex for a proper legitimate reason this time. Obviously there's many reasons why he should go back to prison. I think Lois, using her investigative skills, is probably going to find a proper way to put Lex away once and for all, once again. And so yeah, that's definitely going to be her main story this season. Obviously you won't see her with her dad that much, because I don't think General Lane is going to be around, possibly even for any episodes, probably just going to be referenced. Then, you know, her friendship with Lana, probably not going to happen that much. Her friendships with Chrissy is probably going to show up in like 1 or 2 episodes, so I don't think they're going to delve into that stuff very much. It's mainly going to be to do with Lex. So let's talk about Clark. So Clark is definitely going to be involved with Superman, and his extra storylines are probably going to be thrown away. Like, you know, he joined the Smallville Gazette last season. Like I said, I don't think Chrissy's going to be super involved, so maybe they do some investigations together, him and Lois, but I don't think you're going to see much of him being a journalist. It's probably going to be mainly focused on working with Lois to take down Lex, and whether that means being Superman or whether that means being Clark more, which definitely could happen because of the budget cuts. I think that's what you're going to see with Clark this season. But yeah, definitely some Superman fights here and there against whatever Lex has to throw against him. But John and Natalie, are they going to be in Metropolis? Are we going to see them in this season? That is the main question to do with them. I think they're going to return. Like, they are fan favorites, and I think at the end of the day, people really want to see it, and I think the showrunners will probably bring them back for at least 3 episodes. That would be my guess. Don't know if they're going to stay in Smallville for a while, or are we going to see them in Metropolis with our main family. And in regards to Lana and Kyle and Sarah, I don't think they're going to be in this season very much. Like, I can see maybe 2 episodes maximum for each character. Like, Kyle is probably the least important out of all of those. Definitely the little sister's not going to show up. But yeah, so that's probably what's going to be happening with the side characters in the show. Going to be around less. but some of them might be a bit more involved, maybe like John and Natalie. But let's talk about the ending of the show. So they're going to obviously try and wrap things up, so wrapping up these different storylines like I said earlier. I hope they actually get around to wrapping up all of these storylines and leave nothing hanging, but they've obviously got to defeat Lex. That's going to be a thing that will happen at the end of the season. Is there going to be any crossovers? That's the final question I have to ask. Probably not, just because of Todd Helbing being quite detached from the Arrowverse, but as fans we would definitely like to see that. So Todd, if you're listening, please do a final crossover, even if it's just like a tiny cameo. We would all love to see it. Okay, so that pretty much does it. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to leave a like and a comment, and subscribe and turn on notifications if you're new around here. But for now, you can click on the top right corner of the screen to watch my latest video, and so I'll catch you guys later. Goodbye.
I see red.